Hey, there we are.
How about it? Welcome in to Fish Talks Live pregame show. Just getting ourselves a little bit ready for this evening. Making sure you guys are ready for a good show. If y'all are out there, let us know. Say hi, hello.
And you always got to like, follow, and share.
That's
share
it.
it with everybody.
Keep us rolling. That's what does it.
Yep. Share it with all your friends, family, even the people you don't like.
Got a good show coming up this evening. Looking forward to it. We have a nice guest calling in that got some pretty cool pieces of equipment that you may want to stay tuned for. You know,
Some deep water stuff.
yeah,
Yep. Which is pretty cool. We don't discuss a whole lot of the deep water stuff here, but
not much, only because it's so far out to deep water.
yeah.
But for the folks that get to play in it quite often, got some cool pieces of equipment.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think you can get them for free.
Ooh,
Ooh, maybe. Maybe.
if you get lucky.
Yeah.
Hope you all turned in your photos for the
Catch of the week.
that one. Thank you.
Yeah. The catch of the week. Got to do the catch of the week.
Yeah, I wanted to get out there so bad this week. It was beautiful weather.
Yeah, it was nice. It's been really nice. We had a little tiny cold front come through. Didn't really affect the fishing that much for me. So I don't know about any of you guys out there, but
Yeah, seeing the fish came in came in with yesterday.
Yeah.
Sure looked good.
yeah.
It wasn't very nice out there on Sunday.
Oh yeah, it was a little bumpy on Sunday. Yeah, you're right about that. But
Looks
it was
like
still nice. Yeah.
Yep. Got a nice steady week moving in on us, so I'm definitely looking forward to get out there and doing some fishing.
Yeah, for sure.
Or at least fish sighting.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll be doing the fishing. It's fun, but it's starting to fire up pretty good. It's a little bit later in the spring. Like I said, the last cold front just came through, and hopefully this should be the last one.
I don't see anything in the next 10 days coming into us,
So it should be really nice. But the summer pattern has started. So
yeah. Fish movements are showing it, so I like to see it.
definitely.
Something I saw the other day for the first time this year is saw a handful of frigate birds finally coming in.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any. I've probably seen one or two, and I haven't seen a whole bunch of it like we normally do in the summer.
Yeah, their migration is starting.
We have seen some flamingos though. That's pretty neat. We're starting to see there's a pair of flamingos that we keep eyeballing every time we go out, and that's probably the same two
I'm
that you've been seeing. Yeah.
I hope they stick around because that's
Yeah.
a pretty cool sight that you just don't get to see very often.
Yeah, I thought they were spoonbills the first time I looked at them, and then we got real close, and I was like, "Oh, those are flamingos." Yeah.
A little longer.
Not sure where they're from, but
I'm assuming the Homosassa Wildlife Park, but they got some good color to them.
yeah, they're very pretty, very good.
That's awesome.
Don't forget to share this.
George says he'll be here next weekend, so anything you guys give him this week, he's probably going to use.
There it is.
Make sure it's truthful and not a bunch of fishtails.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Tall tale charters. All right, y'all, we'll be right back. We're going to get into a little commercial and we'll get this show on the road.
It's the moment when everything is on the line and precision, power, and control make all the difference. A moment over 20 years in the making, anchored on loyalty, trust, and support that goes beyond all expectations. A relentless pursuit of perfection. all born from a revolutionary idea to help you rule the water. Power Pole.
Welcome to
Fish Talk Live.
presented by Ozello Keys Marina, and then what you all just saw on the screen there, Power Pole, one of the most innovative minds out there.
Absolutely, especially in the fishing world. Big saviors of ours.
Big time. So tonight we're going to be talking about tactical fishing, along with hearing from a friend of ours over at Return 'em Right. We got Nick that's going to be in-house, showing off some of the tools that they provide to do exactly what the name says.
Return 'em right.
Return 'em Right. So that's going to be on the Nature Coast Financial Advisors Tackle Table Talk here shortly. You're going to want to check that one out. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that stuff, and sustainable
absolutely.
fishing, and releasing them. Even those, you get that fish that's an inch too short, and you're out there in that deep water, or even in a jetty-way or passageway.
Anything with some actual depth and a lot of big predators in there, you want to make sure it gets home right.
That's right. And then on on the Ayinde Matthews State Farm casting couch, we have 3 islands that we randomly chose to talk about how each one of us would approach that island, what we're looking for, and ultimately what we would be using as we're approaching it. So that's what we call tactical fishing.
Yep.
And with Captain Mario leading the charge on that one, I'm going to be doing more watching and learning than talking on that. So definitely going to want to hear that. So Billy, before we get into the catch of the week by Extreme Decalz, what's going on the airboat? What have you been seeing?
It's been an absolute beautiful week. I mean, outside of a couple of bumpy days that we had, these nice cool mornings have been kind of a good break out there on the airboat. Seeing a lot of good fish movement. Beginning of the week, actually, I think it was Sunday maybe, coming across the flats like Fish Creek Bay area. It was a nice glassy day, and the amount of redfish and snook, it was nice to see the redfish are all starting to school in. I passed probably about 5 or 6 schools of upwards of about 20 fish each. It was really cool to get to see, because you would end up seeing the walls pushing between the islands, and I'm talking like as glassy as it was, I'm seeing them a quarter mile away, and you roll up to them and there's a pile of fish working their way out. So love to see that. Still seeing snook in the deeper pockets, especially playing at the lower tides. I know there was I think it was yesterday, I did some drifting and ended up getting pretty darn close to the mangroves. As we drifted through, I didn't want to disturb one of the guides that were right on the other side of the island, so we kind of rode it out, and the amount of snook that are shoved underneath those mangroves overhangs, which was pretty cool. I would have never saw them if we didn't get that darn close to it. They had to have been 2-3 foot into the root system underneath the overhangs. It was a good sight to see.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Don't forget, y'all, we have Captain John that's got the headphones on, got the computer in front of him, and the mic right up against his mouth. So he's going to be cutting in and out of the show quite a bit. So if you have a question, a comment, whatever it is, we encourage y'all to ask us. 1, it gives us more talking points.
Absolutely.
2, it's always nice to communicate with y'all. So if you have a question, John's monitoring them. So anytime, please ask. But also, like Captain Mario suggested in the beginning, please like, follow, share this live feed to help us keep growing.
That's it. Keeps us swimming.
That's it. Brianna, I'm pretty sure we've got a pretty good amount of photos submitted this week.
It's exciting.
For the catch of the Extreme Decalz Catch of the Week. So she's ready. I'd say let's go ahead and dive on into that one. But I'll either get a not yet or all right, let's go here in a second. But don't forget, whenever you see the post come out the day of, comment your photos in. Please comment them in. Do not message them. So, all right.
We got lots of shrimp, right, Gary?
Lots of shrimp.
Yes, do have plenty of shrimp. That's a good looking little red. That's a lot bigger of a red. Very nice catch there, Mr. Darren.
Good job, Darren.
My goodness.
Gavin
Getting into some
Harwood.
freshwater areas. I like that.
I'll tell you, he is a master bass angler. Him and his partner, they're going to be
Chasing pickles.
Yeah, I tell you what, they're
Love
doing a
it.
great job in the series they're in now, so I'm excited.
Very nice, George. I like that shotgun. Ooh, big old trout. Very nice, Gunner.
Nice
Heck
trout.
yeah. That looks to be a nice overslot or a very perfect top slot. One of the two.
Seriously.
Good fish. Double headers. Very nice. Getting into them snook. Out there killing it every week. I love to see that.
I tell you.
Is that a grouper? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Captain John.
Very nice. Got out there and caught himself a cobia.
What size cobia was that one, John?
That was 31 inches.
He was long arming it to make it look 36.
Both of those were freshwater fishermen, never saltwater fished a day in their life.
Really?
Love
Yeah.
it.
Lots of hook sets.
Very nice catch. That's Matt Lanier's, this boy right there. Pretty red.
Gorgeous redfish.
From Mad Mosquito Outdoors. Good looking fish. Heck yeah. Good
Yeah,
snook.
good
Love the way
snook.
those fight. Have not made it out there yet. Very nice. Getting out there on the freshwater side. Wow, look at the size of that thing.
That thing is absolutely
Nice
That's
catch.
a beast.
I think that's a record breaker in a different direction. That's awesome.
Some good photos this week.
All right, we're going to turn it over to Tackle Table Talk with Captain Gary over there, and let's see what they got to say.
Alrighty, like we said, we've got Nick Haddad from Return 'em Right, who is on the phone right now, and he's about to be on the screen to tell us how we use these things.
That is not a kayak anchor.
Yeah, I've got an idea, but I'd like to hear it from those that make them and produce them. So, Nick, are you out there?
Yep. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. How are y'all doing up there?
Living the dream. You know, we got our bush lattes going, talking about some fishing, and just having a good old time. So, Nick, first, tell us a little bit about, Return 'em Right. Tell us what how it started, when it started, what you all do, and just kind of give us a little history on it.
Yeah. So the funding from this project actually comes from settlement funds from the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. So some of those settlement funds are designed to restore fisheries that were impacted by that spill. So we actually built this program kind of from scratch as a way to help restore some of those species offshore that were impacted, and also something that we think can create a long-term culture and a positive response in the fishing community. So basically we knew that, barotrauma is a big issue. There's a lot more people fishing than ever before, and the discard situation seems to be a lot higher. So we wanted to create a little program that not only taught people how to vent fish and descend fish properly, but provided them the gear for free. So we built the program from scratch, all new website, social media, education module, and in under 2 years, we've distributed over 30,000 packages of release gear across the Gulf of Mexico for free for anglers who have gone through that little 15-minute review of best practices on our website.
Wow, that's incredible.
That is really cool.
That is awesome. When we first got this, it's pretty self-explanatory. Now, how many different devices do you all provide? How many? I mean, is this one of many tools, or is this kind of like the main tool?
So our program promotes best release practices. Like I said, whether that's venting or descending. From a descending device standpoint, there's probably commercially available at least 4 or 5 different ones that you can buy. And we we distribute 2 different styles. The Sequelizer, which is a lip grip, you attach it to the bottom jaw, and it actually has a pressure release sensor in it, so you can set the depth of release on the back just by turning this back button. And then we also distribute a manual release one as well, which is just an inverted hook. And these inverted hook styles, I mean, you can make them at home yourself. You can buy cheap ones. It's basically just an inverted hook that carries the fish back down to depth. And as soon as it gets down there, you reel it in and the fish slides off just like a skewer. Pretty simple technology with this style descending device.
Wow.
Pretty slick.
That is all right. So that answered my question about this, because
Wasn't sure what it was myself.
yeah, now it's got a sharp point to it. So where would you recommend, sending this? Does it go to the fish gill, the lip? Where does this go?
So I'm going to show you, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I'm going to show you something pretty cool right here. But you always there's a couple options. If you can find the hole that the hook made, which is not always obvious, you can actually slide the device right into that hole. But if not, I suggest through the soft tissue under the lower jaw is a safe spot. Some people I've seen with some of these bigger inverted hooks, this is called a fish saver right here. They'll actually slide it right under the gill plate. But you're kind of risking that you're getting it in between that notch where the gills actually start. So I'd rather just put a small hole in the soft tissue under the chin and let that heal than try to have people risk kind of getting within the gill rakers there.
Gotcha. Okay. And Brianna, I think we have a photo of several photos and videos, but there's a photo in particular about a fish that has one of the bubbles that are coming out of their mouth. As soon as she finds that, she's waving me off. You don't have it? All right. Well, first the bubble that I'm talking about. What is that? What causes it, and what can we do do we send the fish back down if it has that bubble, or what can we do?
So you're likely talking about the stomach, the orange stomach coming out of the mouth of the fish.
Yes.
That's one of the main symptoms of barotrauma that people recognize. So what's actually happening is the swim bladder that helps those fish regulate their position up in the water column is expanding from the pressure change and the volume expansion while they're getting pulled up to the surface. So that expands and actually pushes their stomach out of their mouth. So that's why some folks will actually see, that's the stomach of the fish right there. So I don't know if you've ever seen one of those videos of those big Goliath grouper coming up with their stomach sticking out of their mouth, and there's just food, basically their stomach contents pouring out of their mouth on the surface. Or sometimes spear fishermen who fish deep on tanks will pull up a fish and it'll actually evert the stomach, and then you'll see all the contents of the stomach come out.
Wow.
So you don't want to vent or stab. Like if you're used to venting fish, you don't want to vent the stomach. You want to vent the body cavity where that swim bladder expanded.
Got it. Okay. And we do have a question before we dive into the next one. Go ahead, John.
So George asked, how much weight do you recommend sending them down? And an additional question, does it vary by water depth on how much weight you're using?
It varies more by the size of the fish. So we distribute a 3-pound weight, which is likely overkill for any undersized fish. There's no really, I can't tell you an exact weight for every fish, but so we have that looped on so you can actually just loop it off and swap it with a smaller weight. But I would say about 1 pound of weight for every 5 to 7 pounds of fish. So with that 3-pound weight, I've gotten up to, 17-pound red snapper down. But if you're releasing undersized red grouper, undersized red snapper, there's really you don't really need more than 1 pound of weight. So you don't want to work harder than you need to reeling up that weight every time if you don't need to. So I always recommend people carry like a 1 pound and a 3 pound, or a 2 pound and a 3 pound. I've got a 2 pound here, and just swap it out for whatever size of fish you're catching, especially with a loop knot, or we actually switched to a dual locking snap, so you can swap stick weights a lot quicker with the new packages.
Now, I'd like to show a video of the example of why this stuff is important to do and why these tools should be utilized. Because what could happen, if you're in 200 or even 100 foot of water, 50 foot of water, there's going to be some big creatures between the boat and the surface floor. So there's a video in here somewhere. Let me find it real quick. There's a video in here somewhere that shows what could happen to a fish as it's trying to swim down on its own with the different pressure change, and why these tools are so important to use. So Bree's looking for it. I don't know what you just said. Yeah, the one that Billy was like, whoa, look at that, that was awesome.
I think I know which one you're referring to.
Let's see what we got here. She's pulling it up now. And then you were talking about the pressure release on this, and here's the video right here.
Yeah, so you'll note the fish goes down pretty quickly, and no one would see this unless you put a camera in the water. So I want folks to remember that. And then you see it's turning on its side and struggling because it wasn't able to overcome that air that's built up. And that's really, you know, a fish floating off on the surface or a fish struggling to make it back down 100, 200 feet. That's what's really, you know, going to attract sharks, because for all of us who have fished a lot, we know it's a struggling fish that is what fires sharks up. That's why it's such a problem, the depredation when reeling fish in, because they're fighting for their life.
Gotcha. And then this video is how it should be done. This is utilizing this device right here, correct?
Yeah. And you see, yeah, that's the sequelizer, and you'll see how that fish is not struggling really on the way down. So that's why a lot of folks think descending devices, you know, spoon feed sharks, but they act so differently while being descended than on the ascent that it's just a very, very different scenario. Certainly, you know, a shark, it happens here and there. I've actually never lost a device in 3 years now. But certainly it can happen if you drop down a fish in a school of bull sharks. There might be no way of getting a fish back down to the bottom. But really, I know folks that use these devices specifically when sharks and dolphins are around the surface, just to get the fish, release them closer to the structure or the school they came from.
Gotcha. Now, when you and I were talking before, we were talking about, you know, I made a joke about not using these for redfish here, but you brought up a good point when, like on the East Coast, especially with the deeper jetties and the obvious, a lot of the shark in those jetties, you know, they are utilized to release the bull redfish. You know, this might be a touchy question, but are they also used to release tarpon? I mean,
I don't. Yeah, so redfish, like I'm down here in Tarpon Springs, so I'm like you. I've never had to worry about barotrauma on a redfish. But I know Dylan Hubbard they caught a bunch of redfish in 100 feet of water, and they had to vent them and send them back.
That's insane.
So off of those jetties and off of some of the oil rigs, they will get barotrauma, somewhat shallower too, around 30 feet. You know, if you catch red snapper, probably until you get to 80, 70, 80 feet, these fish are going to be pretty good most of the time. But yeah, there's situations, some parts of the Gulf where people need to either vent or descend fish. Obviously on those South Texas jetties, if you're fishing from shore, you can't really descend a fish. But I know people that have gone and picked up a bunch of redfish that floated off the jetty and just sent them all down on descending devices down there in South Texas. So it's a pretty interesting thing how it varies with different species too, the severity of it and when it happens. Another example in our area here, hogfish tend to struggle around 35, 40 feet sometimes with barotrauma. You'll see those scales bubbling, the air is actually forcing its way through their skin and out underneath the scales of the fish in as little as 45 feet.
Wow.
Did not know that was a thing. That's wild.
Yeah, that is wild. That's crazy. All right.
Just like the eyes bulging too, isn't like in grouper you catch deep, the eyes bulge. That's another symptom of barotrauma there.
I've seen photos of that, but never fished that depth of water.
Yeah, for real. Looks like this is another question. Is it a question? No.
Before we're done, he's got fish photos.
Oh yes, yeah. So you were talking about how important it is with what you all do to have partners. You know, I can see some of them here, but you know, what are some of the partners you guys have with Return 'em Right? You know, I see Fish Brain on here. I'm sure you know, everyone's real appreciative of what you do. So talk to us about some of your partners.
Yeah, so we're really thankful that, you know, we could never have reached 30,000 people in less than 30,000 fishermen in less than 2 years without a lot of buy-in from this project. So whether it's Florida Sea Grant, the Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission, universities like University of Florida, Mississippi, University of Mississippi. So some government bodies, even NOAA's like Restoration Center, who handles some of the settlement funds, will help distribute these materials. And then in the industry-wise, you know, obviously we work with Sequelizer on distributing the gear, but Sport Fishing Media, Saltwater Sportsman, Florida Sportsman, Texas Saltwater Fishing Magazine, We've gone on TV with Tom Rowland, Saltwater Experience, even why am I blanking on him right now? Bill Dance had 2 saltwater episodes on our program this year. So we've really had buy-in from all over the place, which has been really great. And something I was a little nervous of, because I know right now the Gulf, in the state of some of the fisheries in the Gulf and Atlantic, there's a lot of frustration with anglers. So that made me a little nervous coming into the program, but the positive response has really, really, really been incredible so far.
That's it. I mean, the better you do, the more people you reach. You'll always have those negative Nancys out there, but just ignore them. And these tools are so awesome. What you guys do is really awesome. So, so I heard you got some fish photos of your own that you would like to share. Is that true?
I'm a huge fisherman, so I'm actually the communications manager for this project, but I don't have any formal communications experience. I've just been fishing my entire life. I have my background in marine fisheries, marine biology. So I chose this route just to be on the water as much as possible. That was a 35-inch mutton snapper on that octopus jig. So that was a pretty nice one.
Nice.
The spinning rod, nice snook. That was actually not quite 40 inches, but I like how the line was broken there. See on the tail end.
Oh, that's really cool.
So that was also on a spinning rod and an octopus jig. So on that Van Stall there, and the same pink octopus jig, pretty big gag right there.
That's a huge gag. I mean, how big was that thing?
It probably weighed close to 50 pounds. It was in May, back when the season opened in June. So of course, it was like a week early.
May is always my favorite month of the year to fish for grouper.
Yeah, and then some tarpon on artificial in the Keys. So I'm fishing as much as possible. I know a lot of folks think that scientists don't really fish, and it is a problem sometimes. But there's a lot of us that do fish. I'm going to South Africa next month to fish for GTs from shore. Just burning all my money to do cool fishing stuff as much as possible.
That's awesome, man. Keep it up, dude. It's so cool. How can anyone that wants to learn more, how can they find you? What's the best avenue to go?
I never hesitate to tell people to give us a follow at Return 'em Right on Instagram, Facebook. We're on Twitter too. We don't use it quite as much, but Instagram, Facebook, you can always DM us through there and I'll be the one to answer. Or returnthemright.org. So if you go to our homepage and you click Get Free Gear, that's where you'll have an education module. Whether you fish offshore or not, it's pretty cool. It only takes 15 minutes to go through that, and you'll probably learn something new about venting and descending. So yeah, either one, returnthemright.org or at Return 'em Right on social media.
That's awesome. Mario, Billy, I say we should do that video tomorrow. And
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, because this stuff is really cool that you guys are doing, and I'd like to learn more. So, Nick, thank you so much for coming on the show. And do you guys have anything else for us?
I don't think so. I know you guys are inshore guys, so I got the tailing redfish tattoo. I got the tarpon coming out of my arm. Yes. I got the tack corral.
I love it.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Well, you have to come up here and do some fishing with us soon.
Fishing scientist.
I know. I got
love it.
Awesome. Well, Nick, thanks for everything, and have fun on your trip here soon. We're excited to see some more photos.
Yeah, thanks a bunch, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming aboard.
Thank you. Too cool, man.
That's awesome.
This stuff is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's why I love doing this show. We get to meet cool people like that and see these different organizations, like what they actually do. So it's definitely a blessing to get these guys to come on the show. So thank you very much, Return 'em Right and Nick. So again, returnthemright.org if you want to check out that video and then get one of these cool devices here. So and also to learn more. All right, well, this right here, only if somebody brings it up. But if not, I say let's hit a commercial break, and then when we come back, I want to get into some tactical fishing with Captain Mario on the Ayinde Matthews State Farm Casting Couch.
Vagabond dreaming takes me through the night, sipping whiskey by the river, living out of sight. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane. 100 miles an hour toward the light.
Sabalitos.
Any moment the sun does come. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane. 100 miles an hour in the fast lane. 100 miles an hour till I'm done.
Welcome back to the Ayinde Matthews State Farm Casting Couch. I am Captain Mario Costello, and we're going to be talking tactical fishing with you guys. And I believe Gary will be joining us from the tackle table, and we're just going to talk about how we're approaching these islands, kind of step by step. I believe Bree's got some map pictures that we can start off by.
You know, Mario, there's so much that goes into it. Like, everyone thinks that as guides that we just go to a spot, the same spot, pick it and fish it. I've learned from you, that you could learn a lot more by really getting a visual of that island before you approach it.
Oh yeah.
And there's different things too, which we've talked about before, and you've taught us. So I'm really excited to go over that again. But there's, take a step back and just don't go in there full force, or trolling motor or big motor. Just examine what we're going to talk about so you can get a visual on it. And I think it's really going to help you guys further your fishing.
I always enjoy the aspect of being on the airboat every day, multiple times a day, and then watching you guides and, drift past an island, nobody's there. Tide's rolling out, watch the conditions. Next tour, nobody's there. And come 3 or 4 tours, here they come creeping around the island, following the trends. It's pretty cool to get to watch y'all's patterns out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always find it enjoyable.
And that's the whole thing too, is every island can be approached differently because you have different structure on every island. Some have more sand bottom, some have more grass bottom, some have more mullet, some have little deep holes that you can approach slowly too. But every island's different, and it takes a lot of time to figure all of it out. But we're going to go through some basic stuff, just simple stuff to get you started. Like I said, and Gary and I probably approach islands differently. I mean, I'm sure we do. I've only fished with him 2 or 3 times, but I see some of the ways that he approaches the islands, and I kind of work that into what I do also, and we can bounce off each other and figure out a new way to approach some of these islands. But
WOT.
Yeah, that's it. But and we're just going to take a basic approach. Just say you pull up to a shoreline and you're seeing mullet. It's a good place to start for redfish. I'll talk specifically about approaching an island for redfish, because redfish and snook you approach a little bit differently, but we'll talk about redfish first. You'll see rolling mullet, jumping mullet on an island. Just say you notice them 4 to 5 to maybe 6 feet maximum off of the shoreline. I would stop way far back, probably at least 250, 300 feet back behind them, and start my idle. Once I figure out the direction that these mullet are facing, you can tell when they jump or when they roll which way they're facing. You shut everything down, get on your trolling motor, approach very slowly. I don't like to put the trolling motor more than about 3 or 3.5 when I'm actually approaching schools of mullet, because any higher than that, trolling motor puts off a lot of vibration, a lot of noise. So you want to approach them slowly, figure out which direction they're going, kind of intersect that, and just keep in the back of your mind that those fish, those mullet are going to be about 5 to 6 feet off the shoreline as you're seeing them. So the redfish, in theory, the redfish are going to be just underneath of them or just behind them, sometimes just in front of them. Pull up to the island, get within casting distance and maximum casting distance, I should say, because of course they can feel your boat. Any kind of movement on your boat, it's going to set them off. They have the lateral line that they can feel vibration. So you don't want to jump up really fast on the front deck, moving around, rocking the boat back and forth, because that boat's going to put out a pressure wave that they're going to be able to feel. So you want to stay as far back as you possibly can, and you're going to want to move as slowly as you can. Once you get up to see where they're going, you're on the front deck, got your rod in hand, bait in hand. You want to actually try to visually see where those redfish are at. If you can't see them, you can make a blind cast to the very front of the school. You want to lead those fish anywhere from 5 to 10 feet. Leading the fish, I'm like you see the very first part of that school of mullet. You want to get at least 5 to 10 feet in front of them. Make your cast, and it's got to be accurate. You want to cast it as accurate as possible. I tell people all the time, get in their backyard, put a bucket out in the corner of the backyard, and practice casting into that bucket from different angles until you can hit that bucket nearly every time. Because that's about your point of reference is going to be about a 1.5 2 foot square. Once you can hit that spot every time, then your catch ratio is going to go up substantially. You cast in front of these guys with your bait. Let them find the fish. Let it make it their idea, because you can't really rush it. Like power fishing, I see these bass guys do it all the time. They'll run a shoreline almost wide open on their trolling motor and just work it. Just keep pounding the heck out of them, trying to cast to them and get them to eat. But you can't do that with the redfish. You have to. It's got to be very subtle, as light a weight as possible. I'm using either a free line bait or an 1/8 ounce jig head. Nothing bigger than an 1/8. A 16th ounce is probably even better if you can get the casting distance with a 16th ounce jig head. But we're putting that bait way out in front of them, 5 to 10 feet, and wait for that fish to approach. As soon as that fish approaches, you get ready. You don't set it in a rod holder. You have to be ready for it. They'll grab a hold of it. I let them eat it for maybe 2 seconds at the very most, and then you just set the hook and it's game on from there. Oh. But that's a very basic approach for red fishing on an island. I don't know if Gary has anything to add to that.
No, I mean, actually, Mario, something you and I were talking about the other day is shadows. So depending on the sun direction behind you, side of you, you got to think that if you're out there and you watch a bird fly over right 10 feet off of a bank, you can see the mullet spook. If the mullet are spooking, the redfish are spooking. Redfish seek mullet for protection. They're not sitting there eating these big mullet. They're following them for protection. They're following them for what the mullet are stirring up too. So shadows is a big thing. I had a client that was really arguing with me about leaving his rod tip way up in the air because he wanted to feel the hit right away. And I told him, I said, lay that line down the water. You are causing a shadow, having that thing way up. Even if it's a little tiny shadow, any little bit of movement is going to spook a fish, especially in our area. It's too shallow and it's too crystal clear. Hard bottom, the noises reflect. Aluminum boats are tough when you're creeping up to these islands. They really are. So you got to be extra quiet that way too. But the one thing that I learned was, your jumping mullet are the mullet that are on the move. Your loping mullet are the ones that are stationary eating. So depending on the tide, if it's a strong current tide, more than likely your redfish are seeking shelter somewhere. So when you're approaching an island, you need to be looking for what we call the calm water spot. You don't want to be fishing rushing water. You want to look for your calm water points on an island. So typically right behind a point, or if you have a little cove in front of the island, that's always a calm water spot. 9 out of 10 times, that's where you're going to find your loping mullet because they are there eating as well. On slack tides or, real slow moving tides, like I'm sure we had today, right, Billy? Was it?
It actually came in pretty darn quick.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, playing on the outside, it moved in pretty darn quick. Within 3 tours, it went from about 8 inches to 4 feet. Yeah, so it was a good moving water day.
Yeah, a lot of
It
that's
was
from
just
the
started
wind.
out extremely low.
Yeah, a lot of
when
that's
that-
from the wind too.
When that wind laid down, it rushed in.
But on the days that the water isn't moving that hard, or like you said, on slack tide, those fish are moving. You know, they're on the move, but they're still following the mullet. You know, they're the ones like Mario was talking about, the mullet that are going down the bank, jumping. You know, those fish are there's a trend there. It's not just the mullet that are taking those motions. So what he said was spot on with that. But you know, my big thing is thinking about everything possible, and eventually it just comes, you know, natural. I mean, you know, setting yourself up with the sun, you know, where it's not directly behind you, casting a shadow, and yeah, it makes it easier to see. But again, it makes it easier to see. If it's easier to see for you, it's easier to see for them. So you know, just kind of think about those little things. But I'd say let's throw up one of these photos of a random island that we chose and kind of talk. And I really want to get Billy's, you know, I want to get Billy's point of view on this too, because on the airboat, I know personally it's a lot of fun when you get somebody that's interested in looking at redfish and snook.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love to just go slow all around these mangroves. So
Yep, battle through it all.
that's it. So let's be specific on it. You know, today it was kind of a cooler morning, warmed up, got pretty hot, sunshine, not a lot of clouds, decent amount of breeze, and let's say an incoming tide. You know, let's hit these photos with that description of an incoming tide, because it's going to be different on incoming and outgoing. But so actually, Bree, I lied. Let's use a different photo, because that one is hard to see the structure. So let's go to the next photo. We tried brightening it up there, but let's pick a different one. There we go. All right, so this one is further down south, so the bottom's a lot different down there. A lot of hard bottom, as you can see. A lot of that
Gatorback rock style.
Gatorback rock, and you know, it's a good sun tanning spot. So that's actually why I picked this photo, or this island, is because of the rock structure, knowing that it was a cooler morning this morning. You know, it was pretty cool last night as well. So those rock, you know, more than likely those fish are going to be on the rocks sun tanning.
Oh yeah,
They're trying to warm up.
Especially with the hot morning that we had. I say it was hot. The sun's rays were beating down pretty good. If you were in a calm area where the wind wasn't blowing, it felt hot.
Yeah.
So those rocks that were exposed this morning with the low tide that we had, we're probably reaching a pretty good warm temp for that incoming tide for those fish to go rubbing up against, bedding down on.
Is that, I mean, on the airboat today, is that where you saw the bulk amount of fish?
It was, yes. Yep, getting onto that harder bottom, especially right at that incoming tide. I mean, dead low tide, it was mostly everything was just waiting for tide to come in. They were in the deeper pockets. Like looking at this photo here, that bottom left-hand side where that divot is into the island,
Yeah.
I would imagine that would be a nice hot spot getting right there up against that hard bottom into that calm area.
Yeah, noticing this particular picture, I'll give you two little scenarios. We'll give you a high water scenario and a low water scenario. The high water scenario, where you can see that boat at the very top of the island. We'll just say it's the northwest part of the island. He's coming in exactly where I would come in on that island. On high water, I would work my way towards the west, staying about 100 to 125 feet off of the shoreline and looking for the mullet. As he's moving left, he'll come around that first corner, and that pocket that Billy was just talking about be the first hot spot I think they would stage up in. It looks like there's a partial drop off, maybe a different bottom structure. Maybe it goes from rock to grass. I would work that area real slow, power pull down right up on the outside of that little hole, and I would make a couple of casts into wherever I see the mullet schools in there. If that didn't work, I would continue going around that island to the next point, which is on the south end of that island. Mm-hmm. It sticks out quite a bit. Now that water is going to roll in really fast around that corner, and it makes it'll be more than a 90-degree turn to make that island, or to make that curve for the water to move around it. Now that little spot right there, I would say that's a good snook spot because I can see structure there also.
Yeah.
So actually, as soon as I get to that point, I would take my focus off of the redfish. I would come off of the island another 50 feet further than I would normally for the reds. And I would slowly approach it about 10, 20 feet at a time, making some fan casts to see if those snook are sitting off of that island. Once I clear that out for the snook, if there's none there, or if you catch one, you want to continue on with the redfish, I'd go ahead and continue back around that island counterclockwise, all the way around this island until you get to, we'll just say where the two currents would meet coming around the island. Once I fished all that and cleared it out, I would fire the big motor back up, go around the other side and start again, right where that boat is sitting. And I'd do the exact same thing around the other side, the clockwise side. Yeah. And that side I would work a little bit faster. It doesn't have quite the bottom structure that I would be looking for the reds. There's some good ambush points for snook though, so I would probably do more snook fishing on the right-hand side of the east side of that island than I would the west side of that island.
Yeah. What kind of bait you using for that snook?
For that snook, I'm going to throw a live pinfish all day long. Live pinfish or a live grunt or the biggest mud minnows you can find.
And with those, you're gonna do your typical tail snip and dorsal fin.
Yep, I'll snap. Just cut the top of the very top of the tail. You can either cut it all the way off, or you can just snap it off a little bit with a knife or a pair of pliers, just so it makes that little bit of vibration as he's swimming. It's an injured fish.
Yeah, get rid of his speed, but have all the life.
Yeah. The mud minnows, not so much. I would leave the mud minnows the way they are because they wiggle. Yeah. They wiggle a lot, so they put off a lot of vibration anyways. But, there's millions of pinfish out there, so you want to make your pinfish different from all the rest of them just to make it stick out.
Just keep track of that mud minnow, because if you're not using a jig head, he's going to put you in those mangroves so fast.
Yeah.
Especially with the ones we got in the tank that Heather brought us the other day. Holy smokes, they are finger mullet darn near. Good size bait.
I'm going to need to get some of those tomorrow morning.
Now that you mention it.
All right, let's see what the next photo is, Bree. All right. This is an interesting one.
It is. That one's got a heck of a rock bar pushing out there, what we would call the west side there, off the left side of that picture.
Yeah, this is a trout honey hole.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming off that bar into that dark area there. Looks like a little bit of depth after that rock.
Yeah. So you got those rock bars that come off, we'll call it the west side, and off that point. You have the cove that's on the south point before it comes into that real sharp point there.
Yep.
That cove right there, that one, and then also that little island on the south side, just that small little blurb. You can see the two boats actually.
Yeah, two boats already.
Yeah. that if I was going specifically for redfish, just looking at that on a Florida Marine Track or on Google, or even seeing the type of bottom it has, I would probably be going towards the smaller island opposed to the bigger one. If I was trout fishing, especially like a month ago, those bars that are running east and west, that's a breeding ground for trout.
Beautiful spot.
Yeah, it drives. You can see it, and I know exactly where this one is. It's going to put you right out into the Rock Island Channel. So those trout use the Rock Island. I've seen them on the airboat. They use that channel like a channel, especially on low tides. And you'll see. There'll be days where Fish Creek is on fire, and then the next day St. Martin's River, and then the next day Little Homosassa Bay. They utilize that St. Martin's Channel or the Rock Island Channel to get to these different destinations, and these rock bars will lead you right to the Rock Island Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So
this island in particular is a really good low water spot. Just to let everybody know if they know where it's at. But it looks like there's two boats on the south end of that island. Now, me saying that it's a good low water spot because there's a lot of structure right around where those two boats are sitting. And just because I know where it's at. I would start there and work my way. I don't know if I'd fish this more on high tide or low water. This is a good low water spot though, just because of experience. I know how it fishes, but those boats are just a tad bit too close to the island because they're going to be laid off of that island. There's some hard bottom structure right where those two boats are sitting, and I would actually fish that hard bottom structure that's right there.
Yeah, and the mullet will let you know too. As you're approaching that.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially on these set of islands in this area, you know, if they're jumping way off, fish way off.
Yep.
So.
You guys typically notice your mullet. Are they basically going head on into the incoming or outgoing waters, or are they going back and forth no matter what?
They're going to be going back and forth. Most of the mullet that I see are going back and forth. But one thing I didn't say about the last one we were talking about, once you hook that first redfish, pay attention to which way that thing's running, because he's more than likely he's going to be with a school, whether it be 3 or 4 fish or 50 fish. Pay attention when he first grabs a hold of that. Watch your line, see which way he's initially moving, and as soon as you get that redfish in, you know which direction to go around the island to see, just to find the rest of the school of that redfish.
That's a good point.
Redfish school.
One thing I always remembered fishing with my grandmother in the rivers, playing in like Bagley's Cove area. As soon as she would hook the first one, she set it in a rod holder, and you would cast behind that tight line. Mm-hmm. We'd have 5-6 rods all hooked up.
Oh, it's mayhem. Yeah, it's crazy when that happens.
They will follow each other even though it's hooked.
Yeah, and I'll do that with clients now. I mean, we'll have a redfish hooked. We'll get it halfway to the boat. I'll tell the other two guys, crank your rods in, make sure you got your baits on there, and wait until that fish is 25, 30 feet from the boat. And a lot of times you'll see other redfish trying to eat that jig out of that other fish's face.
They're fighting for it.
And it's an instant triple hookup when you do that. I'd say drop them 5 feet on each end of that fish that's swimming back and forth that's on the line. And sure enough, we'll triple up.
Yeah, I remember that as a kid, so that's pretty fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Bree did say that we got the color corrected on that other photo, which is actually up here north of Ozello, so it'd be a good familiar spot.
Oh yeah,
that says a whole lot for me right there. That's a big that's a big island too.
A lot of land to play around.
Me personally, I would be doing a lot of trolling motoring on that one, unless Mario knows something.
No, I'm going to drink the fifth on this. I mean, plead the fifth on this one because I fish this one all the time. So,
no comment.
No, I would approach this like a general approach again. And yes, correct. This is one island that I would work the entire island because there's so many nooks and crannies in this one. And this happens to be an island we catch redfish of all sizes. I mean, for the first cast, you'll catch a 17. The next cast, you'll catch a 24. Third cast, you'll catch a 35. And then back, I mean, you can have them all different sizes on this one particular island.
Good local hangout, huh?
Yes, it's a good local hangout for all size redfish right here on that one. But I'm not going to talk too much about that.
But does it make a difference whether it's incoming or outgoing?
On this one, I like fishing this one a little bit higher water, but I do like the incoming. About halfway up the incoming on this one. Yeah, but it's a pretty good spot.
I think that's just a great reason to, you get an island like that. It's a great reason to just take those days where you don't bring any fishing rods with you. You would be amazed at what you'll learn about an island that size, or even a small island. If you take a nice, calm, slow approach, get on your trolling motor, go all the way around it, make sure there's nobody fishing on it, make sure you're not disturbing anybody else, go all the way around it, find your trenches, find your potholes, go out a little bit, and you're going to learn a lot about it, a lot more than just, us sitting here talking about these things, because it's a lot of ground to cover, and it's even more water to cover than ground. So
it's only one of 1,200 islands out there.
Yeah. Is that what it is, 1,200?
I don't know, but it's up there.
I learned more about fishing from my kayak than I have ever before because I was going so slow you learn exactly what the area has to provide to you. And
Yeah.
then once you go to my John boat, I was like, "Choom." Okay, I got to learn all over again because now I'm screaming past my kayak spots that produced.
Carlos is saying the same thing. He's learning more and more about red fishing than he ever has fishing out of a kayak. I mean, and you're spot on with that, John. Is you're more patient and you see more. Yeah. I'm a big advocate on if the fish aren't eating, then just move. But I'm also a big advocate on you don't have to move far. Move down the bank, move to the other side, move to the other point. If you've hit 20, 30 spots in a certain area, then yeah, get out of there, go to the next one. But
biggest key to that is slow and low. Yes, definitely. If you need to slow down, keep your profile low on the front of your boat because they do see the shadows, and just don't move around the boat unless you have to move around the boat. And I tell people what you need to do is you need to walk back and forth like you're trying to sneak ice cream at 2 a.m. out of the freezer. You got to be nice and quiet and tiptoe. You can't be moving around a whole lot. But the slow and low approach that's the way to do it for the redfish and the snook actually. So,
yeah. Well, if you get those certain clients on the boat, you got to tell them they got to be real quiet too, that they keep talking. I hope none of those clients are listening right now.
He says it to all of them.
Well, Mario, I mean, you got anything else on tactical fishing instead? The only thing I can say is just go out there. Listen to stuff that fishermen like us are talking about. Listen to what other people have to say, but go out there and see it for yourself, and dial it in for yourself because you could spend all day long listening to podcasts. Watching someone's photos that they post where the background's blurred out, trying to figure out, where that exact spot was. But you got to get out there. You got to see it for yourself. You got to learn how to use a tide chart. That's a big one.
Tides are huge.
Yeah, the wind, and just get out there and go have some fun. Or book Mario for a charter and
just really got to pay attention to what Mother Nature's trying to tell you. I mean, it's pretty simple if you think about it, but that getting to that simpleness is complicated, I guess you could call it. But just pay attention to what Mother Nature says, and go nice and slow. Don't try to power fish them. There's certain times of the year you can do the power fishing thing, but the majority of the time you're just going to want to take it nice and slow. And like I heard a long time ago, it helped me quite a bit. Captain Jeff Page, he was doing a seminar. It was before I was even guiding. He was doing a seminar. I listened. He says, if you want to learn an area, if you really want to learn an area, go out there without any fishing equipment and just pay attention to everything that's going on around you, and you'll see them. You'll see the fish. But if you have a rod with you, you're tempted to go out there and catch them. But you just got to go out there and just pay attention and learn it. And time on the water. There's nothing that replaces time on the water. Yeah. You got to get out there and actually do it.
I think you missed something though that he would have said with that too. He probably said, "Come on, Mario, come on."
Yeah, he'll say some things with a few choice words in the middle. I love Jeff, man. He's a great guy.
One of a kind. One of an amazing person. Mm-hmm. You catch up with him soon. All right, let's hit a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to send this thing off.
Here in Florida, every name tells a story. Just saying Ian, Nicole, or Michael brings about strong memories. But then there's Adam and Gary. Together, their teams helped rescue over 3,500 people. And Vicky, she used her food truck to feed the community.
Thank you so much, guys.
And Andy, he flew medical aid to devastated communities. But then there's Shane, Clyde, and Robert. Together, they have more than 60 years of storm experience. They stand with an FPL team of thousands, ready to respond. So as the next storm approaches, just know we're prepared. Here in Florida, every name tells a story, and every name is important. Because together, we can weather any storm.
All right, welcome back to Fish Talk Live. Guys, thank you so much for watching once again, and we're super excited for the next episode of Fish Talk. Now, last week I said that this week was Mario's Fish Talk seminar.
It's not this week, it's next week.
It's next week, yeah. He has his calendar messed up. So.
And we all agreed.
Just a little bit. I had football on the mind. But that being said, Mario, what's going on next week? Where is it at? What time? And is there a Facebook page or something that everybody can follow to lead you in the direction?
Fish Talk Seminars with Captain Mario Castello. It's going to be at Cedar River Seafood right there on 19, right across from the Kia dealership. It starts at 7. Well, we start talking at 7. Everybody tries to show up around 6 or so, and they get something to eat and get settled in, find a good spot to sit, because there's only room for about 100 people, and then everybody else has got to stand. So, so there's that, and we have a guest speaker every. It's the last Tuesday of every month. We have a guest speaker come in. It's usually one of the local guides, captains. Sometimes we have people in the industry, but we have a pretty good one this week. So we had some scheduling screw-ups, and I had my good friend, Captain Gary Bartell, offer to go ahead and speak at this one. So now y'all are the first ones to hear that, because we just decided this about 30 minutes ago. But yeah, you're gonna talk about. I don't even know what you're gonna talk about.
Actually, I'm going to talk about a new style of fishing that we just started doing. So
this is interesting.
So
part of the deep drop scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, he's all tangled up now. Look at this. All right, here he comes. We're going to give him the stage.
All right, so my good friend John gave me this reel and rod, and I was like, what the hell am I going to do this thing? And but then I came across these lures. So it's a real simple setup. Smaller treble hook, good for smaller mouths. You know, good artificial bait is real. I'm just kidding, guys.
Key.
Yeah. This is just a joke. PETA, leave us alone. We'd never do this. But
never do it or film it.
If you can't have fun in life, then what's the purpose of life?
We're not
right?
fishing for manatees. So.
But I was fishing for vegans.
Yeah, there you go. Same thing.
We'll think of something really interesting and fun. And I had so much fun at the last seminar with you, Mario. That was so cool to witness, and you know, all the stuff you give away there. It's I'm really excited to come back for it. So. Let's get something really good on the docket.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we'll even we might even go live on the show.
There you go.
Maybe we're getting a thumbs up. We're getting a Billy thumbs up from Bree. So we may end up going live for Fish Talk Live on the seminar.
Cool.
Maybe. So.
But just in case, just show up in person anyway.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, everyone. So we will not see you next Tuesday, unless you show up to Captain Mario's seminar. But we will see you for sure the following Tuesday. And thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you, John, Brianna. Amazing job. Thank you, Nick, for joining us tonight. Billy Mario, obviously, goes without being said. Couldn't do it without you guys. Power Pole, Abyss Batteries. Extreme Decalz. You know, Ayinde Matthews and Gary Marriage over there at Nature Coast Financial Advisors. Vihio. Our friend, we've got... by the way, speaking of another sponsor, we've got the Florida Redfish Series that's coming here to Crystal River May 4th. May the 4th be with us, please.
Star Wars Day.
Yeah. So if that's something you want to get into, don't forget it's a guaranteed $5,000 first place prize. Guaranteed.
Awesome.
Thanks to Abyss Batteries. So if that's something you want to jump into, get on their website, check them out, and hopefully we see you at the captain's meeting. But besides that, see you soon.
See you in 2 Tuesdays.
2 Tuesdays. 2-2. 2-2.